Welcome back. Once again, adventurers, let's play Biohazard 2 Real Survival. In the last episode, Leon had finally made it down to the parking garage beneath the Raccoon City Police Department, where he was shot at by a survivor calling herself Ada Wong, and the two of them proceeded to head into the other part of the parking garage, where they stumbled upon yet another survivor, a reporter by the name of Ben Bertolucci, who has apparently been looking into the events after the infamous Arclay murders and the mansion incident. Into my inventory now, and know what? I'm going to keep everything else except the ink ribbons for now. I'll store them away in this item box for the time being. I have to remember to bring them with me just in case, or maybe not, because, well, once we get out of the precinct, there'll actually be no reason to come back here at any point. Although that might not be the case given the fact that we're going to have to backtrack at some point. Unfortunately, we can't go this way because the shutter is sealed firmly. But there is a well, there is an air shaft above it, but unfortunately we can't reach it. Over here is a an area marked septic pool, which is not really surprising given the fact that we are technically in the sewage disposal plant. So let's see what's on the other side of this door, shall we? Pretty straightforward apparatus, and for a moment there, now Leon may not be familiar with what we're seeing on the imprinted on the wall here, but that XDR code is actually very familiar, isn't it? That is because those same letters were actually imprinted within the depths of the Arclay laboratory in the original biohazard during the mansion incident. Appears to be some sort of treatment area and processing plant. Though, for some reason, the railing here has been slightly damaged, as it were, which is a bit of a safety hazard. Doesn't appear to be any hidden loot over there, so seems the only other way out is through this door here, which is also electronically locked. Let's examine that panel, shall we? It looks like a panel to release the lock. There are descriptions for the plugs. King plug insertion, rook plug insertion, bishop plug insertion, knight plug insertion. So those are the 4 plugs that we need to acquire, and curiously enough, in obscure fashion, they've been made out to be chess pieces, and even the decor of the lock in question is alternating black and white squares, which you would normally find on a chessboard. But that means we only have to find 4 chess plugs in question. Don't have to look for any queens or pawns in this instance. And we don't need a full set. But safe to assume that that is going to be our way out of the treatment plant or the disposal plant altogether and into the sewers proper. But first we need to get the rest of the plugs.
Ada? I don't think I've introduced myself yet. My name's Leon. I'm with the RPD. It's a dead end.
You think we can get upstairs through this shaft? Give me a boost. I'll go and check. How cute. That little girl must have dropped this. I think I'll hold on to it for her.
Now we take the reins of Ada Wong, much in the same way as Sherry and Claire's scenario. Now, speaking of Ada and Claire, don't want to combine the handgun with anything. It seems that Ada has the exact same handgun model as Claire does, the Browning HP. And she starts off with, she's got 45 bullets, first aid spray, and a photo of her own, which we can actually examine. A picture taken fairly recently. Now, if you remember, Ada was saying to Ben that she was in search of John's whereabouts in Raccoon City. Now, that of course is referring to the man in the photo, because allow me to introduce you to, properly, to John Clemens, who was a Chicago scientist from Illinois, who eventually transferred to the Arclight Laboratory in Raccoon City after William Birkin transferred to Raccoon City in the laboratory that's now underground. And the names John and Ada will be especially familiar to you if you've been paying attention to my Let's Play of Biohazard, or whether you or not you've played the game yourselves, because John Clemens was the very researcher that left the will in the basement of the the third floor basement of the Arclight Laboratory, telling Ada to leak all the information and the data contained within to the media. And the security system was also tied into Ada. John was the login name and Ada was the password, with Mole being the secondary password needed to unlock the second floor basement's visual storage room. So it all ties together. Unfortunately, we can't access Sherry's pendant, which she has unfortunately seemed to have dropped, but we did get a rather interesting glimpse of the photo of Sherry with her parents, William Birkin and Annette. But we will hold on to it for the time being, since it's about all we can do. And on the whole, we can't go back that way, which is going to be a bit of a problem. However, Ada is a very skilled individual and can certainly take care of herself. Ooh. Oh! So close. Going this way, and interestingly enough, just pointing this out now, and since I'm in a place of safety, Ada is now facing zombies at the sewage disposal plant instead of dogs, which, well, I suppose makes things mildly easier. And actually, Ada is actually wearing Sherry's pendant, which is pretty interesting. But first and foremost, we have a puzzle to solve, which is the shifting the boxes yet again. Tedious but necessary. So shift that box out of the way slightly, but not too far, otherwise have to shift it back. Again, very straightforward puzzle as far as Biohazard 2 is concerned, but Ada is actually very quick on the draw when it comes to using the handgun. You'll notice that that Ada actually fired faster than Leon or Claire, which just shows how much of a professional she actually is in terms of firearms. Now that the boxes are aligned, we can now raise the water and get to the other side of this particular room over here. So far so good. And there is the club key. Why exactly it's being kept in the sewage disposal plant, I couldn't even begin to tell you. Now, checking the map that Ada has conveniently picked up, we'll have to make our way down to the elevator. And now that we have the map, we can actually see the areas in which Claire would have gone through. But first we actually have to get past all these zombies lurching around. Not this time. Oop. Say a little bit better. Yeah, I would rather face zombies than dogs any day of the week. And water pipe is under construction. Where we want is over here. Some shotgun shells, which will be incredibly useful for Leon. Now hopefully I can avoid getting attacked by these zombies as quickly as possible. Nope, wasn't ooh. Oh, I thought I dodged that one, but you're just lying down on the ground. There are only 3 zombies, which makes this all the more worse for me.
Leon, can you hear me?
Ada, did you find anything?
Right here. Think fast. Here's one more. Hey, I can't reach the ventilation hole. I'm going to have to find another way around. I'll catch up with you later.
What? Ada, wait!
Leon, come in. I found the girl, and I've cleared the wreckage that was blocking the corridor.
Got it.
Well, that's good news. At this course of time, that would have come in when Claire finally found Sherry. But unfortunately, they're going to be separated as soon as you-know-who makes his appearance. But lo and behold, the wall has been destroyed by the C4 and the detonator, which means we can now actually access that particular part of the police station. Which we'll actually need to, because there are probably some very useful items there. And I'm probably going to have to combine that blue herb with the mixed herb there. Nothing more I can do about that. At least I still have something to deal with the spiders. But we'll take that shotgun shell. Or those shotgun shells, I should say. Of course, I will have to run back through into the kennel, past all those spiders, which is a bit of a chore, but at least hopefully I can avoid being poisoned. not, as the case may be. Is actually going to deal with the spiders in question. Ooh. Or not. Oh, spiders are fast. Oh! And that was a waste of a, that was definitely a waste of those herbs. But I would rather do that than be poisoned. Especially by spiders. And, no more mutts lying around, but, well, at least we can start opening up some doors now that we have the club key. And I don't really see any reason to speak to Ben anytime soon. Ooh! Ooh! That sound. That is the sound of dogs. Ooh! Not today. Not today, Fidos. Yeah, there were the dogs that I was expecting. But with the burst ammo fire, dogs are relatively easy to deal with, especially at a distance. Now ready to shotgun. No lookers in the corridors so far, and no dogs either, which is fairly interesting. But we can now unlock the autopsy room. If I check my map, there should really only be 2 other areas in which we need to actually use the key. And at some point those zombies are probably going to be swarming through on the eastern passage back upstairs, which is going to be quite a problem. Let's go into the morgue, shall we, and hopefully deal with undead zombies. And that's not a zombie! Oh, and there were 2 lickers. Oh, oh, oh! Oh, those were, okay, there weren't any zombies in there, and there were 3 lickers. Probably shouldn't have, yeah, definitely. Oh, this looks like the, zombies have all vanished. But, we have the red key card, which is the, weapon storage card that we desperately need. Wow, 3 lickers. That's, yeah, I'm not afraid of a single licker, but when there are 3 of them, then they can start to be formidable. Once again, 3 lickers are not nearly as annoying as 3 hunters. I kid you not. But, we have the key now, so we can now use it against, swipe against the door lock, and open the door to the weapon storage locker, and get some very useful ammunition along the way. Such as, ooh, oh. So those are bullets, those are Magnum bullets. Bullets for the Desert Eagle. That's, very fortuitous. But, it's some more, herbs along the way. I was really hoping there would be more shotgun shells, but, and there's a machine gun. More specifically, a submachine gun. Now notice that, Yeah, notice that in this instance, the side pack, which would be here, is not here. This is one of the several instances of the zapping system, in which, since Claire took the side pack in her scenario A, Leon doesn't get it in scenario B. And of course, we need two spaces in order to carry the submachine gun. We'll be back for that, and be certain. You can be certain that we'll be putting that to good use. I don't want to go that way. I want to go parking garage. I got myself momentarily turned around there in my head. Parking garage is just down this way. Follow the signs, Leon. But, I'm probably certain that I picked up that herb. Oh no, I didn't. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to use that. Probably should have picked it up earlier. In my haste to deal with the liquors. It's definitely going to count against me later on. I should really try and focus on keeping Leon running straight, instead of having him zigzag all over the place like a maniac. But now that we have some spare item slots, we can definitely take that submachine gun, because Leon is going to need it. Alternatively, you know, one character could take both items, leaving the other absolutely destitute, or vice versa. I didn't want to equip it, but it's apparently an MAC-11, manufactured by Military Armament Corps. It uses .380 rounds. That submachine gun will come in handy, and it's not quite as dinky as it may appear to be in the inventory screen. It's actually a pretty sizable weapon, but unfortunately we don't have any additional ammunition for it. So we'll stick with our trusty weapons for now. Of course, if we fight any hardcore monsters, we are definitely going to be better prepared for it. Speaking of monsters, I'm almost certain that upstairs is now crawling with zombies in the time that we've been down here. No, not yet. Not yet, which is fairly fortunate. At least for the time being. Now we can access this area, which appears to be a duty officer's room. In fact, it is a duty officer's room. Oh, and I can't take extra shotgun shells. Wish I could. Unfortunately, I don't have the ammunition. But I can take these more Magnum bullets. Probably going to go out on a limb here and say that this man was in fact George Scott, the night officer. Watchman's Diary, August 11th. I finally had the chance to see blue skies for the first time in ages, but it did little to lift my spirits. I was reprimanded by the chief for neglecting my duties while I was up on the clock tower. There's one thing I still don't understand, or only one thing. The chief seemed to be more concerned about the fact that I was up on the tower rather than that I was neglecting my duties. Or duties, rather. Why was access to the tower prohibited in the first place, anyway? Couldn't even begin to tell you what Irons thinks, or how he works. September 5th. I recently talked to the old man who works in the scrap yard out back. His name is Thomas. He's a quiet man and he really seems to enjoy chess. He even went so far as to design a special lock key and lock engraved with chess pieces on one of them, or on them for one of the doors in the disposal yard. Well, now that finally has some context. We made plans to play chess tomorrow night. I can't help but wonder how good he is. One thing that's been bothering me about him is the way he's always scratching himself. Does he have some sort of skin disease, or is he just rude? September 9th. Thomas was a much better player than I had imagined. I used to think of myself as a fairly decent player, but he did a pretty good job of humbling me. About the only thing I imagine could match his skills in chess is his appetite. All the guy did was talk about food throughout the entire game. He sounded fairly healthy, but he didn't quite look right. I wonder if he's okay. September 12th. I was supposed to play another game of chess with Thomas, but we had to cancel it because he hadn't been feeling too well. He stopped by to see me, but I told him to go back and rest, since he literally looked like the Walking Dead. He insisted he was fine, but I could tell he was really having problems. Come to think of it, I haven't been feeling too good myself lately. There's that allusion to the Keeper's Diary, the itchy tasty transmogrification. It's a bit of a shame that I can't get those shotgun shells for the time being, but we will be back for them, don't we worry. Because we might have to fight through some zombies in order to do that. Though hopefully maybe not. But speaking of which, going to have to go upstairs because a bit full of on items at the moment. But of course, if we have to deal with Mr. X again, we actually have more than should have plenty of ammunition ready to take him down this time. I'm not wasting that ammunition on birds. I refuse to. Back in we go. Save room. Always helpful. And, yeah. Store the, submachine gun for the time being. And I'm going to save. Yeah, not compulsively this time, but I don't really want to waste any sort of progress. So it's time to save again. But I'm not going to make the mistake of using up every single ink ribbon I get along the way, because that would just be plain silly in my opinion. But I believe that is it for this episode of Let's Play Biohazard 2 Real Survival. And when we return, we might actually begin our search anew by making our way through the area that Claire conveniently cleared for us with the C4, leading to Chief Iron's office and beyond. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.